Felt their support, for sure. So that was a blast. We'll begin padded practices today, and you get a certain amount of them through the rest of training camp, and then the same thing in season. But it's an important process for the line of scrimmages because the techniques are adjusted some with pads, where without more hands out to here, and now you use your shoulder pads. So that's the real difference between one to the other. It's not a live tackling or live scrimmage, but the techniques do get adjusted, and it's an important part of playing those positions. So that begins today. So all that said, get rocking with you guys.
Debo, what have you seen from Debo so far?
One of the things I found out about him was I knew the competitor and that, how much fun he is to coach. He really is. And that part, you feel his energy on the field. We've moved him around into some different locations already. Been back on kickoff return as well. So trying to find and learn him, John, as it goes through this month process. We did it in the OTAs, different locations, different spots, different plays. But that's the secret sauce of it is, for years you've seen him on a deep cross and catch and run because of the speed that he can really go. But with returning and that side of things too, there's just more chances to see what he can do, and so it's off to a good start.
What's the fun part? What are some examples of that?
Yeah, just the energy that he brings to meetings, to practice. He's thoughtful. He wants to ask questions. What if we did it like this? So he challenges you in a good way and makes you think. So he's been really, really fun to coach. He loves football. You can feel it. Good morning.
I'm not sure if this is on. Hey, good morning. So with today being the first day of pads on practice, what are you going to be kind of locked in on and looking for?
More of the line of scrimmage work. We're going to do some more red zone things, but all the padded practices, you really want to emphasize some things. So that could be, first and second downs, team run and play pass, team run, and, so you're just getting that the run game, to get that going, that takes a lot of work. It's the combinations, the skill, and like I said, the techniques are adjusted. So that's where my eyes are today. We also have, we're back into kickoff and kickoff return. So seeing some of these guys in space make these blocks, like I said, with pads on, you can get a little more contact and work it. So those are probably the two things, the team run periods and the kickoff and kickoff return. Those two spots are where my emphasis will look towards today.
Hey, good morning, Coach.
Morning.
Speaking of that run game emphasis with the running backs specifically, how does kind of what you want to see from them change today?
The real test would come, honestly, in the preseason games, but it matters here because the thudding of the contact to go. So the way that we practice with pads, talking specifically to a running back or any ball carrier, for the contact and the thud to happen, you see them, they see you. We're not looking to hit somebody from the side where they go lateral. So that's where we want to see, can you make people miss in space? Can you lower your shoulder and, see that contact and that yards after the contact? So those are some of the things at the running back spot. But it definitely helps on the evaluation piece for the line of scrimmage and the running backs to have padded practices.
And I know we're still pretty early in the process, but just kind of your overall thoughts on Trey Amos and his performance in his first training camp so far?
The thing I like about Trey's game, and I've seen it with some of the other corners, patience at the line of scrimmage when you're down on the receiver. So many times you can get antsy and try to guess what their release is or, a particular route. And so having patience at that position is critical, where you can stay connected and at the line of scrimmage. You have to trust the technique. And I think like Jason Simmons and him, you can feel that connection. Early practice, post-practice, the extra things. I saw it in the spring, but I just kind of see the ascending techniques as it's going. And that's what's fun about camp, this player against him, the next one. And so different guys are matched up in different ways.
Hey, Coach.
Good morning.
You just mentioned special teams. Looking at the guys that are returning, which guys have really probably jumped out in the early stages of that competition?
The speed I feel from Jeremy Reeves is another step added, and that's not so uncommon after the season after an injury. You're rehabbing an ACL, anybody who knows Revo, like he was going to go all in for it. But there is for the faster players, like that second year after that, it can even take it further. And we discussed that, and I have certainly felt that. I see it on the defensive snaps because when you're a safety and you're breaking out of the middle of the field, it's an easy evaluation to see how much ground someone's covering. And so I do feel that from him. I'm excited to see Jordan McGee. He's somebody on the team side that I really feel like he's taking, like steps to take through it. And then new players, how are they fitting into what we do? I'm watching guys like, tight ends of Cager and, Tyree, and how are they fit in? What are they doing? So it's been a fun process so far.
And looking at the team as a whole, is it one area that has pretty much excelled at this stage a little bit more that's ahead of the other areas of this team?
Not yet. We're still going through the install portion. Like last week, it was such a red zone emphasis, and we actually have a little bit more of that today in our first day in pads. But yeah, there's not one that I see over another. Sometimes it's within a practice. The defense yesterday won, the fourth down competition. The offense came back to win the next piece. So those are the things that I see back and forth, and that's kind of what I see as like the double wins. Like your best against my best, and if your best is always beating my best, that's not as good. So we do like to see it back and forth.
Morning, Coach.
Good morning.
What's unique about coaching in the Washington, D.C. region?
The fan base and the people, that's the fun part about coaching here. I had known from afar how, this fan base, how important it was with the team. And then I really felt it as the season got going. And sometimes you can feel isolated, because you're home or work. And so to feel that connection start to take shape, the fan support of the players, and on the field, and like home field's a real thing. Like it is, and it may not be in some other sports, but you can create it. And so to see that begin to take shape, that's pretty exciting.
And you've developed some relationships with coaches in other sports. You had some of the Wizards coaching staff here in the spring. What do you gain from building those relationships and having those conversations across sports?
Whether it's dealing with a player, how to develop a player, it has nothing to do with any scheme or that. But I'm curious to find out, is there another way? Is there a different method to go to it? And I love learning, so I enjoy visiting with coaches and other spots, and I gain a lot from those moments. And so whether it's college basketball, pro ball, all of it matters to me, and so I enjoy spending time with coaches.
Hey, DQ. Whether it's Pop Warner, high school, the first day of pads is always there's something special about it. Can you expand on that? Like what is it about putting those pads on for the first time?
For sure, it's the essence of our game. It's physical, it's contact, and I'm glad that you brought up from like youth football and high school ball, and like it's also a responsibility to like teach it right. How are you tackling? How are you making these contact? Because that's important. This game that we love, like you can be tough as hell, and you can also, do it as best you can to do it safely. And that's the responsibility of the players to one another, their love for one another, but it's also our responsibility. Let's teach it right. We want our team and our identity to be tough as hell. But for us to do that, you've got to take care of one another and do it correctly. But there is a lot of fun that goes into this day. There'll be more energy that you'll hear, and then it gets normal again, after a few days, because we'll do this, for over the next 6 months, quite a few times. But on the first day, it is part of the essence of the game.
You spoke very highly of Deron Payne during OTAs and minicamp. How's that carried over to training camp? And being a guy that's been on that line since 2018, been with this team since 2018, how as a coach do you lean on him?
I can't speak to the past, but man, I have had so much fun coaching Deron this spring and in training camp. He is on it, and it's nice to see connection him and Kinlaw and Wise and Martin and now Miller and others that are new to the team, and their fight, their battle, how we're using guys. Deron, he is right at the front of it. I like that he is. He doesn't have to say it; he's just doing it, and I really respect that.
Hey, Dan, good morning.
Good morning.
Just on Terry to check in, do you have any more clarity on his ankle situation today? And do you have any more optimism on the business side that we're any closer getting something done?
For us, no change. I can say, when you do the assessment on what begins on PUP, so for he and for Sam, they'll begin, the day doing the rehab portion. Some days that'll include running. Some days it'll, be more of strength and rehab portions. Then in the afternoon, it's kind of normal business. They go through meetings, they can watch the walkthrough but can't participate. So we just have this process that we'll go through with both of them, and we won't miss it. But both of them are real pros, and they'll put the work in. So no timeline on that. And I certainly, as we're sitting here today, we're still building on that.
To follow up on Debo, beyond his just production, what do you think he can bring to a team and offense from a physicality standpoint, mentality, identity, that kind of thing?
Yeah. There's certain plays, breaking a tackle, getting the extra first down. It's interesting. Sometimes there can be a pass or a run for that instance is it 2nd and 1 or is it first down? It's that close. I'm talking about a third down conversion. I'm talking about another first down, another first down. And I feel that with him, the finishing of the play. And that's a real trait, whether it's a run play, a pass play, there's a finishing element to his game that I really, really admire.
Morning, Dan.
Morning, Dave.
Do you anticipate Connerly and Wiley getting run with the ones through a couple of preseason games?
Yes, and as we're going, we haven't hit with the guys yet, but we do recognize the work that guys need and how we go. There's all sorts of good matchups. The other one that helps is the practices. When you go against another team, not just there's advantages from the coaching side. Okay, we like that scheme. Hey, would you blitz more? And most of the time, the coaches, hey, do this, do that. We work together to help, test who we need to test. So I like that we're adding the practices, Dave. It's good for any player. It's especially good for the new player.
This is an odd question, but what was your conversation like with Fentrell Cypress the other day? Cypress, what was the conversation like?
Going into, you're talking about from an injury standpoint?
Yeah.
The first things that, there's going to be football ahead for him. And as part of the games go, and Adam visited with him, they had a good conversation about, what's next and how do you come back. But I can comment on what I saw. And through the OTAs, through the start of it, this is a person that has the ability to play two spots as a DB, and anytime you can do that, that adds a lot of value to who you can do. And so sometimes you have to show enough to say, okay, we want to, continue that, and he's that type of player.
Morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Adam Epstein, 910 The Fan. Given the news yesterday with Terry in the building, is this the wide receiver room that you envision as a championship caliber wide receiver room?
Yeah, Adam, welcome, man. Honestly, man, we just want to really hit to our standards. We do like this room a lot, but as far as where we're headed, we just kind of put it into small spaces, and we're putting guys in different spots and what they can do. It's been good to see in this already 4-day blocks, like Lane has jumped out to me. Okay, you're finding out certain routes by certain players really matter. And so Zach's kind of one of the great examples of that, where he's so crafty to get open. These are the routes that him and Jaden have this connection just like that. That happens in these times, okay, that route, let's feature him again. That route, let's feature him again. So the connection between quarterbacks, receivers, tight ends, depths, timing, their speeds, this is where it goes down. And out on the field is where that happens. So, yeah, we're excited, man, about the group, what they're adding. It's a pretty deep crew, like coming back to see in the off season, KJ Osborne and like the speed. He needed that time when he got dropped in towards the end of the season. And how do we fit him? Like, it feels different going through an entire off-season program with somebody. So there's a lot of advantages for that. All right. You guys have a good one.